That's some metal, baby. Welcome to Pumpkin Guts.
Oh, yeah.
And what do we talk about on this show, Janae?
Oh, man, I don't remember how you were saying it, but everything from horror to Halloween.
That'd be my best guess, too.
Close enough. We spill our guts on everything from horror to Halloween. I'm Ryan.
That's what I said.
You didn't get the spill our guts part.
Spill our guts, yeah.
Well, you didn't ask me for that part.
I was asking you for the intro. I'm Ryan. Who are you?
I'm Janae. You already said the spill your guts part.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I think I thought you did, too. I'm Nick. Hi.
Okay, yeah, we're just slightly dysfunctional. It's fine. We live here.
Everything's fine.
We live here in Orlando.
Every family's dysfunctional.
We live here in Orlando, and we go to all sorts of haunted attractions and stuffs and fun, good horror, spooky things.
That good.
The good. All right. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Pretty good.
Doing good. What are we talking about?
HHN. What else?
Halfway to HHN.
Halfway to HHN.
Still HHN.
Still HHN.
So, unless you have been living under a rock over the last few years.
Like Patrick.
Give me your best Patrick.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
I'm going to clip that.
I've been practicing that one.
I'm going to clip that, and just every time I'm sad, I'm going to watch that back. So unless you've been living under a rock over the last few years, recently, I would say about the last 2 or 3 years, halfway to Halloween has really started to take off as like not a holiday, but more just a time of the year where you remind yourself, okay, we're halfway there. And more haunted houses are starting to open and do events specifically for halfway to Halloween. So we wanted to talk today about what a Horror Nights version of that would look like. Because Janae and I, we went to 13th Door in Jacksonville, or 13th floor.
It's confusing. 17th door.
17th door, 13th floor.
13th gate.
There's too many numbers.
There's a 13th gate or is it 9? No,
it's 13th
9.
gate.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I think so. If we're wrong, scream at us. That's what the comment section is for. So Janae and I, you and I went to 13th floor for halfway to Halloween. That was our first time there. Mm-hmm. I had a great time.
I did too. Once the line started moving.
Yeah, the line took a while to get going, but
we were sweating.
Yeah, we normally every haunt that we've been to that is indoors has been very cold inside. So we were kind of expecting it to be cold, so we were wearing hoodies, and there was no airflow at all. It was very miserable inside, very, very warm. But the problem was the line wasn't moving at all. So we were right next to the door, and there was a bunch of heat coming in. Yeah. So that was really our only negative experience. Yeah. Other than that, we loved the 13th floor. It was very fun.
Was it one walkthrough?
Yes, it was one like 20, 25-minute walkthrough.
There were not 13 floors.
There were not 13 floors. 13th floors.
Deceiving, but
it was a lot of fun though. It was very nice, and this is why I want to talk about something like this, because people like us, we wait all year for haunts.
All year.
And
I don't know if I'm necessarily counted in that category.
We're still converting her. Okay. It's going to take a bit more time. We're working out all the kinks right now. But
brainwash takes a long time.
It does, especially horror brainwash, because, at a certain point, she might get too scared. And then the process takes a few steps back. And then we're like, come on.
I'm right here.
Oh.
I thought.
Oh.
Oh.
She's here. Okay. Anyway.
So. But okay. People like Nick and I, we wait all year for these events, and we do have Mortem Manor here in Kissimmee in Old Town.
I forgot about that.
So yeah, if
Oh, we probably should have mentioned that.
yeah.
Did you do that?
No, I've done it yet.
Okay.
No.
Oh darn. Let's go right now.
Pause.
Pause.
They're not even open.
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they open until 5. So that's a very fun local haunt that we can do year round. They're open all year round. But the bigger attractions like 13th floor and Sir Henry's, they don't operate year round. So that when something opens like 13th floor for halfway to Halloween, it's awesome. And it was busy.
And it was a 2-night event.
Yeah, I didn't really expect it to be as busy as it was, but there was a line out the door. There was a lot of people there, and that made me very excited for more haunts to do this. If Sir Henry's already operates on Valentine's Day and Christmas, I wonder if at some point they might consider a halfway to Halloween event.
If you build it, they will come.
I feel like that's their crucial build time, though. So they would
It
have
is.
to
Yeah, no,
alter.
Yeah, and that
That would alter
Which,
their...
God bless them, because they're doing that in summer in Florida.
Which, I feel like after this year, because they have been just totally reconstructing everything, because they're adding another thing. Maybe after this year, they won't demolish everything. So maybe after this year they would consider doing it. But it is very refreshing to be able to go to a haunt at the halfway to Halloween mark, because you have this little mini holiday, I'll call it, but you don't really have any way to celebrate it. But now they're offering ways to celebrate it, and I feel like Horror Nights I don't want to say they'll eventually consider it, but it is worth noting that Six Flags recently did a halfway to Halloween event called Scream Break, and it was
clever.
It was their Halloween event, open during May, and that I think that if Six Flags is going to do it, then maybe Cedar Point will follow. And maybe at some point Knott's will follow. Knott's would be a shoo-in for it.
I'm surprised they don't actually already.
Well, Knott's would be perfect for it because they don't change their houses year to year. So Knott's could do it. Busch Gardens could do it. And if all of these other haunts are starting to do it, I really think that...
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, I really think that they could be forced into a corner where they could be the only ones not doing it. Like I said, not saying that that all of those other places will start doing it, but there were more haunts this year opening for halfway to Halloween than in the past. So with that being said, we wanted to talk about what we would do for a halfway to Halloween HHN. So who wants to kick it off?
I'll kick it off.
You'll kick it off?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
There's really 2 ways to approach this.
Right.
Do you do an encore from the previous year? Mm-hmm. I mean, you designate a house of the year. Do you keep that standing? Maybe make some slight modifications and do something like you bring it back for 1 night only.
That would be smart, because then they don't have to construct anything, and you just leave that house to be the last house to be built for the next year.
That is by far the most logistical.
That is where I was coming from,
Way
the
to do
efficiency logistics standpoint. You could do that. It's like I said, it's like an encore. You just wait 6 months.
People would
and
go.
they don't
People
even have
would
to
go.
necessarily announce the house of the year until they start promoting this. So you don't have to know November.
They could combine it, save the announcement for House of the Year. Well, I mean, that may not work, but and then make it a whole
that's
thing.
what I'm saying, yeah.
oh yeah, we announced
like
it,
a
and then
big
here
unveil.
it is.
Yeah.
And you could
awesome.
still probably do the daytime tour option and then a nightly run.
Right.
And I say nightly, it could be a whole weekend. I don't know how they do it, but
Do you think with the length of Horror Nights houses that if they made it a separately ticketed event, that it would be too short of a experience to be worth the cost of admission? to just have one, you know?
That's where I'm like, is it a good idea or is it not? Because if it is only one,
I have a solution for that, but I'm going to save it for my...
If you could go through multiple times and you're only paying like, let's see, how much is a normal Horror Nights ticket? About $100.
70 to 100, I think.
So, okay, you're only
I
getting
think.
one house instead of 10.
Right.
Even if it was $15 or $20, I feel like people would pay for it.
Not,
You definitely have to make
definitely
it
they
worth the cost of operating for that night.
But
you wouldn't necessarily have to close the park at 6
Right.
to get people in.
I feel like they could just basically do like a small Halloween party in the New York section of the park. So let's use Dead Man's Pier as the example here. Like say they kept Dead Man's Pier standing and then they just had that little corner, you know, in front of the old tribute store, you know, in front of Jimmy Fallon. They bring out props, make a new scare zone with old props, and just have a little like Halloween shindig, you know, just a little party, just something very low key, very casual. I think the only issue would be capacity. Like I feel like it could go one of two ways: either the perfect amount of people show up, or way too many people show up.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would take trial and error to figure out how to best do that.
It's just an idea.
So you said two options. What was the other one?
The other option, well, regardless, I think there does need to be an announcement halfway to Halloween week for Universal.
Yeah.
Starting now. Because they waited till, June? I mean, we got Chucky the day after Horror Nights.
They should have waited until halfway to Halloween to announce Chucky.
I agree with that. Because then it just got people really hyped up way too early.
Yeah.
And then frustrated when there was no announcement.
I get it. Like, you know, they were trying to get people to
Want to
get
come
excited.
back already. Yeah.
But I don't think Chucky was the right call. You know,
Yeah.
because before they've done that where they announce something the day after or the day on the day of Halloween. They've done that with Jack. But that's Jack.
I would rather them do with Chucky than like Stranger Things or Last of Us, though, because that would kind of take away the thrill of speculation.
But you could also do an original.
Would it
that
though?
would be cool.
Imagine
Kinda.
Halloween. All right, you're getting ready to go to Halloween Horror Nights last night, and then they drop, by the way, The Last of Us is coming next year. You would have lost your mind.
Yes, I would have, but
That entire night, you would have just been like, oh my God, Last of Us is
I've
coming.
been torture though, because then like
Then you have to wait a year. But regardless, you have to wait a year.
I know, but
Anyway, go ahead.
So then the other option is you preview and tease at the upcoming year.
Yeah, I think
That's, like I said, going backward is the more logistical option. It's already set. You don't have to rush to get anything pre-built. You can just put that.
bring it back for a little.
Yeah, well,
It's
but
the
you
most
can backlog
realistic.
the construction because they can be designing the set pieces and then put them in place after they complete the tear down from halfway to Halloween of the other house.
Right.
But like I know people get upset when the houses leave and then they can never experience it again. So that would be a cool like their first halfway to Halloween event. Easy, they get the feel for what it is, and people who think this house is never coming back will be surprised to be able to experience it.
And, you know, to bounce off of that, like it honestly, I think there would be enough time from October 31st to May because they probably still have all the sets and all the props from all of the previous houses. I think, you know, let's say year one, just to get their footing, just to figure it out, they do a house from the previous year. But like, start bringing back the houses that people want to experience again.
Just in
Slaughter
general,
Cinema,
yeah.
Puppet Theater, Body Collectors, SS Fritanic, Wicked Growth. Bring back old houses. That's how you get people there.
That's true.
you give
could go even
new
further
fans
back.
like,
And it doesn't have to be in the same location. I think the New York section of the park, perfect place to put it, because you can just put it in a soundstage and make it work. You don't have to, you know, rebuild the tents and you know, force everything in there. You know, you'd have plenty of room to work with, especially if it was a sprung tent house.
it's a win-win. You also give old fans, or I'm sorry, new fans. You know, basically a history lesson, or like,
Yeah.
they've heard so much about, you know, Slaughter Cinema or you know, whatever it is. Like, and then they get to actually experience it. Like that's a way to bring in the new and combine both
for sure,
both demographics, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a win-win.
If you're looking to promote ahead, same concept. One weekend, one night, whatever. You bring your biggest anticipated house of the year. It's not announced. You show up the night of, and you experience it.
Yeah.
It'd be wild.
Yeah, imagine if you had no idea what it was going to be. You walk into that event, and you're like, you're basically getting the announcement when you show up.
They could have done that. With IPs, it is harder, but they could have done that with The Last of Us this year.
That
and
would have
imagine
been,
the response.
I would have lost my mind.
That would have been an insane, that would have been the coolest way to announce a house if they were like, all right, you guys want an announcement? You want something?
Come get it.
Come get it. We're not announcing it. You're going to come see what it is. And you walk in, and it is The Last of Us. And you're like, you get to go through once. You go through once, and that's it. Because they want it to be a little tease, and it doesn't even have to be the full house. Like, imagine if it was just like.
But they probably could have had the full house built.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
But if they wanted to
May.
leave something for like the
leave a couple
surprise.
reveals or whatever.
Unfortunately, I don't think they would ever do that.
No,
I don't think.
But
they
I
would
think it's a
either.
great freaking idea.
But if you want to leave a lasting announcement, Horror Nights doesn't even have to tweet anything.
100%.
The engagement will go through the roof as soon as the first 20, 30 people make it through, and then it's being retweeted all
it starts
over
being
the place.
boomed up. It's The Last of Us. It's The Last of Us, and
then Tim Tracker does a video, and then all the big YouTubers come and do it's
like you don't let media record any of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. That you couldn't let media do any.
No,
nothing.
Yeah, that way.
That's one less announcement video they have to make. Think about it. They're saving money on that end. You've already almost cast it at that point.
Right.
For Horror Nights. You probably have an idea of who you want scare actor wise in that house. I don't know. I just think it would be a cool.
I think it's doable.
Even if they only did it
For
1
sure.
year to test the waters on a halfway to Halloween event.
So
I think it would be cool.
I've got a few other ways that I think that this event could go. Nick, do you have any?
I think most of my ideas were things that would never happen, but it's things that I would just love to see.
All right. Hit us.
I think, imagine like you come through the gates and there's just one long scare zone from Production Central to New York. You utilize just that part of the park. And
It's Illumination Avenue now.
And I'm sorry. And I think maybe either one soundstage or two, maybe an IP, maybe an original, whatever it is. But like, I think basically my idea was just use that part of the park.
Yeah, I think if it was in the park, it needs to be just Illumination Avenue through New York and not even down past the Mummy. It just needs to be that long strip.
And just make it one long scare zone. I don't know if you would go crazy with the themes or whatever you can do.
Just they could do the same thing every year. Just throw old Horror Nights stuff up from
People
old
it.
past scare zones. People love it.
And then in that same area again is the stage. So maybe a show or a concert.
And I think that would be really cool. Like imagine they bring in Ice Nine Kills or Ghost or
It would kill.
The Weeknd.
Imagine.
Or any horror-esque musician. I mean, and it doesn't even need to be a big name. Like
would they look for? Universal looks for any excuse to throw a concert anyway.
They do.
So it is surprising that they don't have something.
That could be like the main
Horror
event. Like yes, we have a house, but also we have The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. Like
I don't know that you'd get the Weeknd.
you wouldn't get The Weeknd,
there.
but
I think if you were promoting and it doesn't even have to be something that's related to a house. I really do feel like if they asked Ice Nine Kills, they would be there in a heartbeat.
yeah, I think so.
I think Ice Nine Kills would come for a separately ticketed event. But if you did get someone like The Weeknd, Ghost, some of those higher profile bands, it's gonna have to be separately ticketed.
Yes. And we'll get into the separately ticketed bit in a second when I get into my ideas.
Also, merch.
Yes.
Halfway to
Halloween merch. that, I mean,
If you want to make money, merch.
last episode, I was wearing an Ice Nine Kills shirt. It was from their Halfway to Halloween collection. Seriously, stuff like that sells. It kills because people just love Halloween. Halloween is the one holiday where people don't look at you like you're weird for celebrating it year round. Like, seriously, if you were
It's actually true.
if you were walking around wearing a Christmas shirt, people would look at you like you're weird. You walk around wearing a pumpkin on your head, people don't care.
I still feel weird wearing Halloween stuff outside of Halloween.
I don't think you should. I think it's really just become like people look at it and they're like, yeah, okay. In my entire life, I've only
You get more compliments. when
I do
you
get more
wear
compliments.
A Halloween shirt
That is
in
true.
the middle of the year than any other time I'm with you.
yes,
Halloween has a global community.
yes. Well, I think it's just like 99.999% of people love Halloween. Like I don't think there's really many people who don't love it.
You have the Christmas nuts, which there's a lot of.
But those people are horrendously awful. I love you, Tracy Reimer. I'm just kidding.
There's nothing wrong with Christmas. It's great.
But it is such a beloved holiday that people do look for it year round. So I think that, doing a halfway to Halloween event would kill with the merch. And truthfully, I do think it would give them an opportunity because remember how I said last year, one of the most successful things that they did was the traditional Halloween theme. That would give them an excuse to do the traditional Halloween merch every single year and make new designs that would sell out.
No, I think that's it for me. I think headlining it with a show or a concert would bring more people in, even non Halloween people, and just utilize that part of the park. That could tie in with Janae's idea, using an IP or like as an announcement.
I understand people wouldn't be able to travel in the same capacity.
But that would be great for crowd control.
It would.
That would be, it would really just be locals that would go.
The diehards that have the money would go.
But
100%.
Yeah, no, they would.
But there would even be locals that wouldn't go. And that would make it such a, because they could keep it low key and not add on to it like they do every year with horror nights. If they just keep it the same thing every year with a different house, it's going to stay low, it's going to stay small, and that's how it should be.
I agree.
Okay. Well,
I concur.
What are your ideas?
Okay, so I have a few different ideas that I think would work. The first of which, to me, this is the way to do it. And I think I would combine this with Janae's idea of bringing back a house from the previous year, or bringing Wicked Growth or a legacy house that people really want to see. But I would basically do it like HHN Light during COVID, where the houses were open during the day, where the houses were open during regular business hours of the park. It wasn't a separately ticketed event, because then it's just there. It's open. If you want to go experience them, they're open for HHN or for halfway to Halloween. You leave them open a week, maybe two, just depending on staffing and whether or not you could get the cast for the one or two houses. But I think that would diminish crowds. It would make it less of a logistical nightmare as far as
I'll say logistic wise, that's also doable.
Yeah, because you don't have to close the park early. You don't have to figure out a separately ticketed event. And yeah, you could just go and it would be fine. And I think it would probably be best if HHN, like if you did it like this, if there was no express pass, just to keep the line moving, and no big backups, no holdups, and also I don't think you would need it because I don't think as many people would gravitate toward the haunted houses if it was during regular business hours. So that's my first idea.
I also think that's a great way for like those who have kids. I know it's recommended not, if you're under 13, you should not be bringing your kids. But I have seen kids under 13.
And if you want
and they're getting younger and younger. And it's a good way to test the waters and see if they could even handle that before spending more money during September, October to bring that.
And then,
because I could see Ryan wanting to drag a child there at like the age of 5, and they may not be ready.
Yeah. And then, they could find an area to open a mini tribute store like they have All Hallows Eve Boutique in Islands. And also, it doesn't have to be in Universal Studios. They could put it in Islands. They have room to put it in Islands and put it near the I know they just closed Poseidon's Fury, but find a way to put it near the All Hallows Eve Boutique, tie it all together, make some halfway to HHN merch. Boom, you're good. And then you could maybe do an announcement along with Halfway to Halloween. So that's my first idea. I think that's the most realistic. I think if this ever does happen, that's probably how it's going to go down. But this is my more out there idea. I still think it would be doable, but it would just require a bit more. So this would be a separately ticketed nighttime event. And I think that it should be done in a backstage area of the park so they don't have to close the park. So my thought was put the house where the weekend was in that soundstage, and where the queue is, section that off so it's its own little scare zone and its own little area that people would check into. That way it doesn't interfere with the operations of day-to-day Universal, and only is only available for people who get that event. And then I don't know if they have the room to do this in that soundstage. I know that when they do the sound stages, they don't use the entire soundstage, so maybe they could. But I think it would be very important that they make this a 20 to 40 minute long haunt. And I think another great way to save time and money is to make it a 20 to 40 minute long haunt, but take the mazes from previous haunts. So let's say we take Wicked Growth, Puppet Theater, and what's another one?
Dead Man's Pier.
We take the mazes of those, connect them all together, so each house is part of one long maze, and you get these 3 different stories in one maze. You get this long haunted house experience, and it's just this 20-minute haunt that you get to go through and experience, and it wouldn't cost them much to throw those sets together because they're already built.
That sounds awesome.
And they could rotate the haunts that they use every single year, and it could just be this fun thing to get people excited. And I think it would be good to do this like Friday and Saturday nights for 2 to 4 weekends, probably 2, just so it doesn't take up too much of their time. And they could have exclusive merchandise in that area, or they could do it in one of the ballrooms at the hotels, because those ballrooms do get pretty spacious, and there would be enough room, and it would not interfere with any of the operations at. It would not interfere with them building sets in any of the sound stages. So this is a way to get it off of the theme park side and get it more towards one of the hotels or something else.
I think the issue, if they ever do this or not, is the logistics and the staffing.
100%. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
why like with my ideas, I think they're very efficient,
right,
and manageable for the existing team, who we know has, some of them have other responsibilities outside of Horror Nights.
Right.
I think most of them do, don't they?
I would think so, but I'm not. I'm sure there's some people, a select few, who are dedicated just to Horror Nights.
Right.
But I think if they ever do a halfway to Halloween event, it's going to come down to what's easiest, that they're not putting too much on their plate, what's economically feasible. There's so many components involved.
Because the other thing
an event
is
like this.
They're going to be coming right off of Mardi Gras. And
well, that's the other thing. Mardi Gras goes on too long.
Mardi Gras does go on. It goes on way too long. So cut Mardi Gras in half and you fill in that other space with halfway to Halloween.
I mean, out of everything we've brought to the table, Janae's are the most realistic for sure. I think those are the ones I think that actually, if it happened, that's how it would work. I believe. I mean,
and if Universal does this in 2 to 3 years, you're welcome.
Yeah.
We're full of these ideas, All right, so I think that's going to wrap up our conversation here on halfway to Halloween. But tell us what you think.
Yeah, if you comment, let us know.
Yeah, what would you like to see? I'm sure there's a plethora of ideas that we haven't even thought of yet, but I think that's going to do it for us. So until next time,
see you.
Be scary,
Or don't.
We can't tell you to. Okay, bye.